Welcome to KCXU 92.7 FM on your dial, San Jose, California. Well, welcome to KCXU 92.7 FM here in the heart of San Jose. And we have our guest musician and writer. Her name is Carol Martini. Welcome, Carol.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Really, you guys are creating the content, and we're a new community radio station. And I have my questions.
Well, you know, we really appreciate community radio stations because they're more likely to play independent musicians and songwriters than, you know, the major market stations and whatnot. So we really appreciate community radio stations.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. There's about 200 community radio stations in California.
Wow, okay.
Due to the FCC ruling back in 2013. And so it took a while for KCXU to get its license, and we did. And from here, beginning of this year, I'm after as many local talent first, but to me, you're still in California.
That's right. That's right.
So, well, go on ahead and tell us how many years you've been writing and singing, and maybe how to let the listeners know that what inspired you or what made you start writing.
Well, you know, it just kind of happened. I was 11 and just wrote my first song, and I was in the school orchestra at the time, and I was playing violin, and I was in, I think, 6th grade. So by the time I got to 7th grade, I realized I really couldn't sing and play violin at the same time. So my mom, the sweetheart that she was, got me an acoustic guitar, and so that's when I really started writing, and I try to write as much as possible because my theory is that you have to write the bad songs so you can write the good songs, because not every song turns out the way you want it. Sometimes they just go down a path you don't want them to go, but there they go, and you have to let them go. But when you write one that says exactly what you want it to say in the way you want it to say, and the melody goes exactly where you want it to go, I mean, that's just magic. I mean, it's just magic. So it's my passion, and I can't stop doing it. So.
Well, so how many years then since you started at 11?
Oh gosh, I you know, more years than I care to admit. I just have been doing it since I was 11, and you never ask a lady her age, so just know that it's been a long, long time. Okay. So,
all right, so you've been doing it for 1 year. Okay, we'll leave it at
that. Yeah. Yeah, and in 1 year I put out 7 albums, so pretty good, huh?
Wow. Is that how many CDs and albums you have released in
yes, I have 7, yeah.
Wow. So, you do perform live, and if you do, where do you perform?
Yeah, I do perform live, and I've been performing live since the early 90s at mostly coffee houses and bookstores and small clubs and places that have acoustic music. And a lot of the independent little bookstores and coffee houses are gone because that was kind of the scene for a while, but I still managed to find places, and you just try to get your music out there to people that might be interested. And the thing about coffee houses now is so many people go there to work on their laptops, so they're not that interested in musicians, but bless our hearts, we're out there anyway, singing for people on their laptops. So
yeah, so, but still, there's that moment that people do come up to you and want to know more about you and about your music, right?
Sometimes, sure. And they can always go to my website, which is www.carolmartini.net.
That's your first name, Carol, with a C?
It is.
And
it is.
Martini, like
like the drink.
Like the drink.
Just like the drink.
Okay.
Right. .net, yeah.
.net.
And when you go to my website, it will take you to cdbaby.com, where you can purchase my CDs and hear samples of my music.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, you do perform live and
Yes.
small clubs, coffee shops, and whereabout are you playing? I know you're from Southern Cal, but
right.
Where's your main place that you play?
I don't have a main place. I try to play as much as possible all over. I've played as far north as Malibu and as far south as San Diego. That's kind of my area. So,
so
but I'm based in Orange County, California. So
I see. So how do you go about contacting these places? It's your manual.
Well, you sit down in front of your computer and you say, take a city. I'll take Santa Cruz, and you Google coffee houses in Santa Cruz, and you click on all the ones that you can find, and you call them and find out if they have music, if they have acoustic music, and you go from there. I mean, it's a really it's a time-consuming process, but if you're going to find places to play, that's what you have to go through. So, because as an independent musician at this level, I'm my own booker and I'm my own roadie, and so I have to do it all. So,
yes, that's you have to maintain focus, and you have to be determined to do what you do. But obviously,
absolutely, right.
Yeah, you're doing it because you love what you're doing. That's
wonderful. Exactly.
So what's the craziest thing you've done for your music?
Well, the craziest thing I did for music was in 1984, I quit 2 jobs, and I went to England to try to put a band together, because I thought so many of the great bands came from England. So I kind of went over there like Chrissy Hind, and I tried to get a band together there, and I didn't. So I came back, and I tried very hard to put a band together here, but I was never successful. As anyone in a band knows, it's like being married to 4 or 5 other people. So not only do you have to be emotionally connected and emotionally compatible, but you also have to be musically compatible. And you would think with the millions of musicians here in Southern California, it wouldn't be that hard, but believe me, it really is. It really is. So, sometimes musicians have a reputation for kind of being flaky, and I've certainly met my share of flaky musicians. So I've just, over the years, decided just to stay as a solo artist. You just don't have to rely on other people. So.
Mm-hmm. I see. Well, I mean, this is real good information for the kids that are 11 now, but they'll be 16, and before you know it, they're in their 20s.
Sure.
So,
right.
What can you say to the youth about being a soloist versus being in a band in a good way? I mean, I'm sure some people just have chemistry and it starts off, so what can you say to them?
I mean, I think both have an awful lot going for them. I mean, there's nothing like being in a band where you have that band companionship. I mean, obviously when you play a gig, you can share it with the other people and that kind of thing. When I play a gig, it's I'm just sharing it with me. And, there's no backstage, well, gosh, wasn't that great or something, because it's just me. If you can find a band and are happy with them, more power to you. But, so many bands don't last that long. So, and one thing about being a solo artist is you can always count on yourself. So it's good either way. So.
Yeah. That's right. I agree with you. Well, let's say, who are your favorite artists that you, because you were saying in your information that you had sent to me that you are picking up music from adult contemporary musicians of the 80s, I guess, but...
Well, my favorite band of all time would be the Beatles, hands down. I mean, they, took the face of pop/rock music and redrew it. I mean, we owe so much to the Beatles. They're my absolute favorite, always will be. Love Tom Petty. I really like traditional Irish music, too. I mean, real traditional Irish music, not the kind of new wave stuff that happened in the 80s. I like a lot of different kind of music, little bit of punk, pure rock, pop rock, folk rock. So love Fleetwood Mac too. There's so many bands that I like. The list goes on and on and on. But the number one group for me of all time would be the Beatles.
So which of one of their songs? I have my favorite.
God, I could not name one song. I just couldn't do it. There's so many great songs that they wrote and recorded. So I could not name one. I mean, so many. There's so many.
Well, from the pool of so many artists and songs, what comes first, the lyrics or the music?
I've written both ways. I have melodies that have no lyrics, and so sometimes I'll go back and listen to that melody and see where it takes me. And other times I've written out, a whole page of lyrics and then put music to it. So it comes both ways.
Yeah, I see. So whatever happens, you just do it.
Right. Right, exactly.
So let's say you start with your lyrics, and then what's the process? How do you process?
Well, from the lyrics, you kind of get an idea of how you want it to be musically. I really want this to be kind of a driving, hard song, so I want to go this way with the melody, and other times this is going to be more of a ballad, so you go in that direction. So sometimes the lyrics will absolutely dictate where you go musically. So
let's say, musically, but what instruments do you really play? Can you play more than one instrument? I just generally write on acoustic guitar, and when I record, the other musicians and whatnot play the other instruments. So. Let's see. So, what musical styles influence your writing? I know it's a big pool, but mostly it would be the Beatles.
It's so hard to say who you're influenced by or who you sound like. I mean, I don't consciously sit down and think, okay, how would the Beatles write the song? I don't do that. Or anyone else from matter. I don't sit there and think, well, how would Tom Petty write the song? You just write. I mean, they just come out the way they come out. So I think it's easier for other people to say, well, that sounds like blah, blah, or that sounds like that person or something. It's hard to do that with your own stuff because you just think it sounds like you. I wrote the song, therefore it sounds like my song. So I think it's easier for other people to say who it sounds like.
That's true. So I'm looking, you sent me 5 songs of your latest CD, The Art of Singing While Drowning. And,
right.
I'm kind of curious, While Drowning. Can you kind of explain that title and tell me which of the 5 songs of the 20 songs on that CD? Is it 20 songs on that CD or 23? I forget which.
I think it's 22. I forget too. No, you're right. It's 23. It's 23. The Art of Singing While Drowning, as I mentioned earlier, I've been at this a long time, and sometimes you just feel you're drowning in the fact that you're not getting your music out there as much as you would like. You're not making as much progress with your music as you'd like. So you kind of feel you're just drowning in rejection and whatnot. As an independent artist, I believe in my music as much as Taylor Swift or Bruce Springsteen or anyone else it's my passion as much as it's their passion. They just can make a living at it, and a really good living. And like a lot of independent musicians, we do this because we're driven to do it. It's our passion, but unfortunately, not all of us are going to make lots of money like, Bruce Springsteen or something. So sometimes you feel like you're drowning. You really do. You keep singing, but sometimes you just feel like you're drowning. Sometimes it is hard to keep going. You do get a lot of rejection. You just got to keep picking yourself up when you get knocked down. So you do feel like you're drowning.
Yeah. So to me, for new coming artists that are they're brand new, they're green.
Yeah.
So how can you explain to them what type of rejection, and then also, what do you mean by? Is it just the money you make that you feel that maybe you're drowning, or is it because you're not famous? That type.
Not so much famous. Just you'd like to be able to reach more people with your music than you do. There's millions of independent musicians out here, and we're all competing for airplay on community radio and college radio and that kind of stuff. We're all trying to get on Spotify playlists. It's very competitive. And the rejection is you send off a CD or a demo, or you send a link to your music to try to get a gig, and they don't want you to play there. Or also, I've had this experience where you've played places for several years. I mean, years and years, and suddenly they won't book you anymore. I mean, that's a bruise. That's a bruise on your heart. I mean, that's hard to take, but you do have to keep taking it and keep going on, because it's too easy to give into that stuff. And as long as we're here and the world is still turning, you have to just keep going on, and you have to pick yourself up, and you do get lots of rejection, and keep going. So, you get rejected when you submit your song to a music supervisor for a particular film or TV show, and you don't get picked. That happens a lot. I mean, that happens a lot because, if a music supervisor is looking for one song for a scene in a movie, I mean, there's millions and millions of songs out there. So you just have to kind of realize that when you submit your song, that the chances aren't particularly great that your song is going to be chosen, because there's so many songs. But, you do it anyway because you're crazy. So, you do it anyway. Because you really have it doesn't really matter if you submit and don't get chosen, because you're going to do it anyway. That's just what you do. So it'd be nice to be picked, but you just keep doing it because you just keep doing it. So, and I've certainly known people in their 70s who have gotten their music picked for a film. So you never know.
That's right.
Just because it doesn't happen, when you're 25, doesn't mean it won't happen when you're 75. So you just keep doing it.
It kind of reminds me of this saying, artists become famous after they die.
Yes, yeah.
Well, from my perspective, the founder of KCXU, my struggle is also to make more people aware of our station.
Sure.
So that's the other side. But I have just attended a jazz festival summit. We had one of the largest jazz festivals in California a couple weeks ago, here in San Jose. But I was also able to attend a summit on just jazz, and where we had the musicians there. We have had the promoters and station owners. And, of course, I'm new to all this, so I kind of they were talking about the curation, the responsibility. It was really you better know what you're playing, and you have to be able to discern what is good music and what is bad music. And they quoted someone like Duke Ellington or something, someone like that had quoted that. And I was taking the other approach. I was taking, let the people decide what is good.
Yeah, good for you, because you know what? It's so subjective, isn't it? I mean, what someone thinks is good, other people won't care for. So I'd say, throw it all into the pot and let people decide, just like you were saying.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it from a democratic point of view. Just like, San Jose, we're not Oakland, and we're definitely not New York in terms of the people, the diversity of our community. So I like to make sure our mission. I really don't know what people really want yet.
Yeah, right.
But I'm going to let the people decide. And,
right. Good for you. Yeah.
Yeah. That's. And if the station gets known, good. We'll continue.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to hire people, because it's all going to be based on grants and people's donations. And not once have we aired to the people, even though we're reaching 1.25 million, because we happen to have major traffic, like 300,000 daily from San Francisco, or people from down south or east and west, from Stockton over to Santa Cruz and vice versa. It's a hub.
Right.
A lot of movement, but traffic sometimes has to slow down, and so
of course
I look at it, well, hey, who's 92.7 FM? And next thing you know, they're listening to your song.
Right.
But that's what this interview is about. And out of the 5 songs that you have sent to us to play, which is going to be playing twice daily, these 5 songs will, plus the interview, and you'll have a link to it. Yes.
Okay.
You'll have the link of this interview, and you can just add that to your repertoire.
My resume. I will, absolutely. You betcha.
And share it with other people, too, that are musicians. Hey, did you hear about KCXU? We're 24 hours, so we got a lot of potential for newcomers that are not being heard in the corporate radio. But, But my intention is to interview and just keep doing that so people know more about the musician and the type of songs that they're playing. So on the Art of Singing While Drowning, the 22 songs, I have 5 of them. Which of them would you consider represents the title?
I think Change Has Come fits with the title.
I feel rather sad today, and I don't know why. Still, there's a million reasons that could all make me cry. I feel down today, my heart is deep blue. How could this be anyone's favorite view? Change has come, pointed as a knife to pierce my heart and cut deep into my life. Change has arrived, edgy as a thief, to steal my soul and leave me in disbelief. I can't shake these feelings that cloud my sky. belief in hopelessness has been renewed. I've draped my spirits in shades of black, counted up the shadows until I lost track. Change has come, pointed as a knife to pierce my heart and cut deep into my life. Change has arrived, edgy as a thief, to steal my soul and leave me in disbelief. I know I'm disconnected from my promising thoughts. Bury the link will be much more than a long shot. If I saw a wishing well, I'd walk right by. With a pocket full of pennies, I wouldn't even try. Change has come, pointed as a knife, to pierce my heart and cut deep into my life. Change has arrived, edgy as a thief, to steal my soul and leave me in disbelief. Change has come.
The other song, Hitman, which I kind of think of as my hit single, is based loosely on Phil Spector, the famous producer from the 60s, the Wall of Sound guy, who is now sitting in prison. It's kind of based on him loosely, so I kind of think of that as my hit single. And I think about, your songs. I mean, they're your babies. Obviously, there's some of them you like more than others. But when you go into record, and I'm sure other people do the same way, you try to record your best songs. So I have listened to this CD in my car over and over because I really like it. If I'm not going to like it, anyway. So I like the songs on this CD. I'm proud of them. Sometimes I sit there and I'll listen to a song I've written, and not just to sound like a Hallmark card, but I think, wow, I just came up with that. I had a blank piece of paper, and now there's this song. And sometimes I just want to pinch myself because I know I do it a lot, but still, it's an awesome process. I mean, it really is amazing. I love the creativity.
He was a master in the studio. He knew how to get those golden sounds. He took bands to the top of the charts. He made those gold records go round and round. But then the notes changed and he wasn't so hot. He found himself in the bottom spot. That's when the hit man became a hit. And now he's number one with a bullet. The Hitman became a hitman when his record sales began to plummet. He had a Midas ear that made him a millionaire. All the record companies courted him. He named his price, they paid twice as much. The A&R execs would go out on a limb. Then the industry moved on and left him behind. There he was in a monetary bind. That's when the hit man became a hit man. Now he's number one with a bullet. The hit man became a hit man when his record sales began to plummet. He takes aim with his 45. He's doing what he has to stay alive. In his sight there's the money shot, a chance to prove what he's got. He was a mover and a shaker with the top 40 group. Named producer of the year 10 years in a row. Made the cover of Billboard and Time magazine. Won 30 Grammys and stole the show. Then his rhythm slowed and he lost the beat. At that tempo he couldn't compete. That's when the hit man became a hit man. Now he's number one with a bullet. The hit man became a hit man when his record sales began to plummet. The hit man became a hit
Obvious. So, you said you put out 7 CDs?
Yeah. I'm going to start recording a new one in the next couple months. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then definitely put us in your radar. Let us.
You bet.
No,
you bet.
Let's keep our lines open. And
yes, we absolutely will.
And we'll do another interview to keep our people aware of what's going on. Okay.
Great.
So one more time, I'm going to ask you, how do people find you?
Okay.
Yes. So Facebook, do you have Facebook
on
your website?
Go to Facebook, Carol Martini. Also, I'm on SoundCloud. I have a song on Bandcamp, cdbaby.com, and Spotify. Mm-hmm. So several avenues to find me. And please find me.
Are you listening? San Jose. So I thank you, Carol Martini.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the support and the airplay. Again, as for an indie artist, it just means the world to us to get airplay. And you have a pretty healthy market, and I appreciate the exposure. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. I thank you very, very much, too. Welcome to KCXU 92.7 FM on your dial, San Jose, California.